get some.
Sometimes I say second.
Good evening. We'll call the meeting, Selectmen's meeting of July 20th, 2016 to order. Mr. Owen, do we have a need for non-public tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we have a matter of litigation to discuss.
Okay, thank you. Approval of minutes for July 6th.
Mr. Chairman, I have one small change on page 11. It is the fourth paragraph down. It starts with Wood and Kern represented stated that the town, and it should say, has not paid, so not needs to be there, for electricity for the last 10 years. That's the only one I have.
Okay, thank you. Any other changes from anybody tonight? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next item is the amendment for the Board of Selectmen's Rule of Procedure. We all had a chance to look at this and talked about it at the last meeting to slide our topic of public input toward the end of the meeting. Any comments or questions from the board?
Would you like a motion?
I would love a motion.
I move to amend the Board of Selectmen's Rules of Procedure, Section 4, Rule of Order B, Agenda, by moving public input to item number 12 on the Selectmen's meeting agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion second on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Let's see. Public hearing for a temporary outdoor event. Wolfeboro Parks and Rec to hold the Jim Foley bench dedication on August 4th, 2016 at 4 p.m. at Cape Park. Christine going to speak to that for us?
I think you recall it, one of the last meetings, there was a group of classmates that got together that wanted to dedicate a bench to Jim Foley, and we're having, they want the dedication to be on that day at 4 o'clock, and then following that, they're going to the high school to have a showing of, I think it's called Saving Jim, the movie. It's a free screening at the high school.
Oh, nice.
So they're just gonna dedicate the bench and then move on to the high school.
Let's see, this is a public hearing. I'll open up the public hearing to anybody that would like to speak or comment or ask any questions. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Board members, any questions or motion on this?
I'll make the motion to approve the issuance of a temporary outdoor event permit to the Wolfeboro Department of Parks and Recreation to hold the Jim Foley bench dedication on August 4th, 2016 at 4 p.m. at Cape Park.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
All set, thank you. Next on the agenda is our bulk vote. Do you have any questions or comments, or are we ready for a vote on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the bulk vote, which includes the weekly manifest, property tax refunds and abatements, denials, property tax credits, notice of intent to cuts, the MS 535 financial report of the town, which goes to the state, and a raffle permit.
I'll second that.
Motion is second on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next is the appointments for the Cape Memorial Events Committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I can address this. The board had previously approved the formation of a three-member committee to oversee the distribution of these funds that were made available to the town by the trustees of trust funds. And we have three names that have been put forward, those of Reverend Gina Finocchiaro, Kathy Barnard, and Attorney Philip Marbury. Was put forward by the Chamber of Commerce. I just got that last name almost at the close of business on Friday. That's why it didn't appear in your backup.
Okay. I see we have at least one of the names in the audience here tonight. Do we have any of the other two here? Or? Well, anyway, I'd like to thank you, Kathy, for volunteering, and also the other two for the Reverend Gina Finocchiaro and Philip Marbury. So I would entertain a motion on that.
So move.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve those three folks for the the Cape Memorial Events Committee. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thanks again.
Doesn't seem like it.
Okay, under new business, we have a change of date for temporary outdoor event permit. I believe that is,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I can step down and speak to it. I'll speak to it for the table,
Okay.
from the table. This is the Wolfeboro Area Children's Center. We had a date in July, right after the 4th of July. It was the 9th and 10th, and both days it poured rain. And so they would like to reschedule it for July 23rd. And Mr. Owen had checked the calendar, and the Cape Park is free. So that's why the request to change the date.
That sounds very reasonable. Looks like the weather looks good for Saturday also. Morning could be a little shady, but the
Let's
rest of
keep our fingers crossed. Last hope.
Do we have any questions from the board on this? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the use of Cape Park for the Children's Center Fairyland Festival event on Saturday, July 23rd, 2016, from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Motion is second on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's all set. Next item is the commercial vessel landing permit. Sandy here.
Hey,
Hi, Sandy.
Sandy McKenzie, Captain, U.S. Mailboat.
You want to just kind of get a few seconds of TV time to tell what you're doing there and stuff? And
Oh, okay. I'm just here representing the applicant. The boat is actually owned by Dive Winnipesaukee, which I lease for my enterprise as far as under my contract to the Postal Service for delivering mail to the islands in eastern Lake Winnipesaukee, as well as I carry passengers for hire on a tour of the lake.
that sounds good. Any questions or comments from the board on this?
We have the certificate of insurance now, so
Okay.
we're all set in that regard.
Yep. I would entertain a motion then for this.
I move to approve the issuance of a commercial vehicle landing permit to Dive Winnipesaukee Corp. for the mail boat operated by Sandy McKenzie.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
You're all set, Sandy. Thanks. Next up, we have our monthly budget expenditures and revenues report.
Good evening, Pete Chamberlain, Director of Finance. Hopefully you had a chance to read my report this month. This is the report that I know Linda was looking forward to.
Yeah.
The end of June. Things seem to, a general comment, I think things because of a number of reasons. Obviously, fuel prices are down. Even the gasoline prices at the pump are falling again. I noticed this week it was like $1.99 over in Chichester. So
I
that's
know.
good. So there were a couple of items in the report. A couple of departments. The assessing department seems to be doing really well. Obviously, because of the lack of snow, Abenaki has a fairly decent surplus in it. Also, in general, health insurance over the entire budget is under, at this point, about $30-some-odd thousand after I had a chance to have Jeff take a look at it this week. So I thought it was a little more than that, but it's not. So in general, I think the budgets I think we're headed in the right direction on this one. Are there any questions?
I have just one quick one. On the park maintenance budget, the electricity line item is almost completely spent. It's 80%. 80% is spent, and I'm wondering whether we've got a misposting in that one.
I'll check it.
Thank you.
I'll check. Also, I come to think of it now that you mention it, on page 3, under the Brewster Building, I had done
Yeah.
a projection there, and I about halfway down through, I talked about projecting out that over the next 3 months, really, I mean 6 months. But I wrote 3 instead. So, also, you have my updated revenue report. If you look at that, we're pretty much on the money. I think we gained a little, Dave, we gained a little on the town clerk's motor vehicle permits. So that kind of crawled up to, what was it, 52%. There was a question, I think, last month as to whether I thought that the motor vehicle permits were a little behind. I think they're pretty much right on. With an overall for the general fund sitting right at 50.38. So,
Yeah, the other thing is interesting is also building permits are up.
yeah.
And that's
And
about
actually,
60.
I actually think the water sewer, I would look at last year at this time, which I hadn't yet, the water sewer sales and electric sales are, I know the water and the sewer it looks like it's up a little bit this year, so.
Good. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, thank you, Pete.
Yeah, thank you.
Next item is the discussion for our financial audit report for 2015.
Good evening. My name is Tim Green. I'm a principal with Robertson Green. I'm here to present the audit report for 2015. I think most of you are familiar with my spiel, but I'd just like to go through the audit itself and the financial statements themselves and just kind of hit the highlights if I could, and then take any questions that you might have. So, first things first with the audit is our audit report itself, our opinion on your financial statements, which is what you've hired us to do. And I can say once again that for all of your opinion units, of which you have 4 or 5, excuse me, you get a clean opinion across the board, as you normally do, which is great news. One thing to point out this year that's new is you can see on the second page there's a change in accounting principle paragraph, and that details that you've adopted GASB 68, and you adopted that. This is the first year that you were required to do so, and that's the big change in your net position relates to your pensions. After the opinion is the management's discussion and analysis, and that's put together by your finance director and town manager. We just look over the numbers, make sure they correspond to your audited figures, but beyond that, we don't really have much input into that. The first exhibit, I'll start with your exhibits. That's your statement of net position. This is kind of a summary of the whole town. And this is on your full accrual basis, so this includes all your capital assets, includes all your long-term debt, all your long-term liabilities. The big thing to note here, again, is with this change to GASB 68, you're now showing your net pension liability, which was determined by the state retirement system as your proportionate share of the total liability with the state retirement system. All it is capturing what your employees and whoever's in your retirement system has earned to date for their pension versus instead of recording on a pay-as-you-go system, GASB wants the town, all the communities to record that liability that's already been earned. So, for however long your employees have worked to date, they've earned this pension in the future. And so now GASB is saying each community should show their proportion of that. It's determined by the state through the hiring of an actuary. The audit's procedures are really limited to just making sure that the actuary's report is meeting the specific guidelines of GASB. Beyond that, there's not much we have to do with those figures. And those figures, again, the state hired the actuary. The state had to do their own study the year before, and then the second year of implementation required them to give each town and each school and every community's proportionate share. Having said all that, adopting that statement did require a restatement of your beginning balance, and it was a decrease. That restatement note shows up on page 42, and you can see the beginning pension liability amounts was basically a restatement of about almost $7 million decrease. Exhibit 1, the other highlights to note, your total governmental activities, which includes your general funds and special revenues, capital projects, and most of your trust funds. Your total net position, you can see on the bottom of that first column, you ended the year positive $24,854,000. And your business type activities, which represent your utilities and your pop, whale, and ice arena, you ended the year at $26,655,718. You can see how that's further broken down. The significant balances are your net investment in capital assets, and so that represents your actual capital assets less any debt incurred to procure those assets. You can see that's the bulk of your net position for both of those activities. Exhibit 2 further breaks down your statement of activities, shows your expenditures, your expenses, and the related revenues to those functions, as well as any general revenues the town has. So you can see your total governmental activity expenses were $12,826,000, and your total business type activity expenses were $11,636,000. The bottom, you can see that the change in your net position for the year ending 12/31/15. In your governmental activities, your net position actually increased by almost $2.5 million, and your business type activities net position also increased by almost $1.5 million. And again, those are from the restated figures, so you can see your beginning net position was restated down to $22 million, approximately $400,000 for governmental activities, and $25 million for the business type activities. Switching to Exhibit 3. This is your governmental funds. This is on a modified accrual, so it's not. So this is where you report each fund and you report it without capital assets or long-term liabilities. This is more of your annual activity. So it's basically a balance sheet for your major funds. This year, your major funds are your general fund and your capital projects fund. All the other funds for the town, all the other governmental funds for the town are combined in this other governmental fund category. So you can see your total fund balance for the year ended 12/31/15, again, for the general fund was $2,939,672. Your capital project had a balance of $807,000 in it. And then the combined total of your other governmental funds was $1,339,987. Those other governmental funds are further broken down on Exhibit 16 and 17 for your information. Those are found in the back. Exhibit 4 is a reconciliation between the two different types of accounting. Your full accrual, which is your net position statements, and then the modified accrual, which is your governmental fund statements. So you can see the differences between the two, the bulk of which, again, is your capital assets. You can see you have about almost $51 million in capital assets, and then an accumulated depreciation of just over $15 million. You can also see that you have long-term liabilities for bonds outstanding of over $8 million, and there's that net pension liability of $6,604,000. So this basically just details how you get from the $5 million fund balance in the governmental funds to the $24,854,000 net position. Exhibit 5 is your statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. You can see here, again, it's for your major funds, and then a total column for your non-major funds. The change in total fund balance for your general fund, you can see, was a decrease of $144,024. In your capital project, you can see the change in fund balance was an increase in $873,249. An increase in a capital project typically means you have ongoing projects. You've borrowed the funds. You can see here you had long-term debt issued of $4,101,000. So likely not all of that project has been completed, and hence you have a fund balance existing there until those projects are completed. And then the third column, you can see that your other governmental funds had a combined decrease in fund balance of $38,563. Exhibit 6, again, a reconciliation between the two accounting standards, or two accounting bases. This shows how you go from your governmental fund, the change in fund balance of your governmental funds, to the change in net position of your governmental activities. So you can see that during the year you capitalized just over $6.5 million in capital assets, and you record depreciation expense of almost $1 million. And here you can see again that the issuance in bonds is not other financing source. When you look at your net position, that just becomes a long-term liability. And there's various other items here that are detailed to how you get between the two figures. Now, Exhibit 7, that's your budgetary basis for the general fund. Budgetary basis is the standard that's, it's not GAAP, but it's similar in that the only difference being with your taxes, you don't have to defer anything that's not collected after 60 days. Typically under GAAP, any receivable that doesn't get collected in a timely fashion is not considered available to actually use, and so you defer it. But on the non-GAAP budgetary basis, basically because of the way the state sets a tax rate, you don't defer those taxes. Once you've committed your property taxes each year, that's your revenue for that year. So you can see you have two columns for your budget, your original and final. The change represents any unanticipated revenues, or this year was a lot of donations, for example. Basically, it increases your budget, which is allowed under the statute. So both your revenue and your expenditures are increased by the same amount. You can see the net change in fund balance under your budget. That's what the town voted to use from their fund balance. So essentially, if all things matched the budget, you expected to lose $600,000 on the year. If you follow that net change in fund balance column over to the actual, you can see that you only lost $112,647. So it was actually a more positive year on your budget than you had planned for. You can see total unassigned fund balance at the beginning of the year was $1,618,634. And with that decrease, with that net change in fund balance, you ended the year at $1,502,524. That is further broken down on Exhibit 18, 19, and 20. In the very back, I would say flip to Exhibit 20 if you're following along with me. I'll just highlight your budget activity. Your unassigned fund balance to start the year was $1,618,634. As I said, you voted to use $600,000 to reduce your tax rate. You had a revenue surplus of $290,219, and you also had an unexpended balance of your appropriations of $197,134. So you had a budget surplus of $487,353. Some of your fund balance was shifted to non-spendable, which represents either that typically represents tax deeded property or prepaid items, which you have both, so you had a slight increase in both those balances. Those are considered non-spendable because they're not in a cash form, essentially. It's only available once you sell those properties. So as I said, you had a positive budget surplus, and with that increase in non-spendable fund balance, you can see how you get to your unassigned fund balance at the end of the $1,502,000. The only other highlights I'd like to point out, I suppose, would be Exhibits 11 and 12 are your fiduciary funds. Those represent trust funds held for private purposes and also held for other governments, such as the school district and any village district funds. The notes to the financial statements just adds additional information for the user. I don't tend to go through that at all. It's a lot of information, but it's all presented in the financial statements with additional information there. There is a bigger section this year on the pension. There's a lot more disclosure required, and again, a lot of it was provided by the state retirement system. And in addition, there's also two new exhibits, Exhibit 14 and 15, also relating to the pension liability requirement. It just further breaks down the town's share of that total retirement system liability. Lastly, I tend to put in a communication to management in the back of the report, either highlighting any issues, any findings we may have had, or explaining that we didn't find anything. And this year I did not have anything to report, so I gave you the standard verbiage that explaining that we didn't have any control issues that we needed to disclose to you. If anyone has any questions.
I do.
Questions, Linda?
Yeah, on page 18, what is inception of capital lease?
So on your budgetary basis, when you enter in a capital lease, you only budget for that annual payment.
Okay,
But on a GAAP basis, you have to include the full value of that lease. So you lease the vehicle or equipment, valued at $109,000. That's the life of that lease. But the first year, you record an expense for that and a revenue for that. So it's a wash in that sense. And then when you shift to your full accrual, you capitalize the full value of that, as well as record the full liability. So.
okay. Thank you. That was the only one I had no idea.
Definitely a lot of information to take in this report, so,
Very nice report.
yes.
And I appreciate the town, employing us. So it's been a pleasure to serve you and continue that relationship, hopefully. So
All right. Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is a discussion on the Public Restrooms Committee report.
Good evening, Kathy Barnard. I'm here to present to you the report from the Public Restrooms Committee. We were formed in the fall of 2015 and charged with developing a public restroom plan for the greater downtown area. I've sent a report to all of you, but want to acknowledge the committee members, Mrs. Murray, representing the Board of Selectmen, Bob Tuffer from the Budget Committee, Mary DeVries from the Chamber, Mr. Owen, Town Manager, Adam Tasker, representing Public Works, Rob Hausman from Planning and Development Director, and Christine Collins, Parks and Rec Director, and myself. We inventoried all of the public restrooms in the downtown area, and basically the year-round restrooms are at the railroad station, and they've existed for quite some time. The dockside restrooms are closed in the winter, as you all know, but we did have 2 porta potties there this past winter. Town Hall has restrooms, but Town Hall is not open all the time except during the work week and then evenings when there are meetings in Town Hall. There are quite a number of porta potties that are placed around town, but those are seasonal. So we discussed all of the existing facilities, and then we also looked at other communities and the availability of public restroom facilities in those communities, and we determined that Wolfeboro seemed to be comparable to similar resort communities as far as providing restrooms is concerned. We discussed the cost factors for maintaining the existing facilities and had information submitted to us so that we became knowledgeable about that. And I've included that information. And so then we started looking at the cost of new facilities or purchasing or renting public restroom facilities, and there are quite a number of them out there. And we looked at a lot of them, but basically what it came down to was that we felt that we also got information on stick-built facilities, and it just seemed that the stick-built facilities would be more compatible with the downtown area. So we also looked at winterizing the 2 restrooms at Dockside, and that was determined to be very costly. We then decided, after looking at all of this information, to propose some priorities to you folks and to the Budget Committee. Also, we'd like the CIP to have this information, but I guess I can easily get that to them. Anyway, our priorities that we would like you to consider is, number 1 is a porta potty at Albee Beach. Now, that's not this would be during the winter. That's not in the greater downtown area, but a lot of folks coming to the greater downtown area use the trail to get here. So we felt if we could have some porta potties along that trail, that would be a positive thing to provide. The second priority was a new facility near the playground at Foss Field, and that would include 3 unisex facilities that would be ADA compliant, also include a pavilion, a small snack bar, and storage. And we're proposing that one of the 3 toilets would be constructed for year-round use, and of course this facility would also be used in the summer for all of the summer activities down in Foss Field. I've included information about the size of the facility and the approximate cost, and we determined that it seems that the total cost will be less than $300,000. And we'd like to see consideration be given to constructing this facility in 2017. In addition to it being a heavily used area, also with the walkway linking this downtown area with the area over near Harvest Market, the area has become much more heavily used by pedestrians, bikers, and just people walking around town. So that would be a priority. The next priority is the Dockside area. And it seems that the 2 existing seasonal restaurants can continue to be used. They've been there for quite a number of years, and they've been maintained well. So keep those, but also consider constructing a new facility in the area behind Emma Taylor. And this new facility would be take up a couple parking spaces and would be facing toward the ice cream stand, but would be buffered with trees and some fencing. That facility, we're proposing that it has 2 unisex toilets that would be winterized, and these also have to be vandal-proof. this area could also include a storage area. And this building, the approximate cost would be about 250 square feet, $250 per square feet, but that plus the site work and landscaping. And as I said, it would cause losing 2 parking places, but these 2 parking spaces are difficult to get in and out of and do create some safety concerns. Also had discussions with Dave Ford that he would like to possibly construct some parking spaces over by the freight building sometime in the future, so that would make up for the loss of those spaces. The last priority is to consider building a new one-stall toilet facility that would be seasonal, and this would be near the Mill Street pump station. There is now a porta potty there that's been there for a number of years, and it was put in place to serve the north end of the downtown area and is, according to the information we received, quite heavily used. So it seems that should eventually, it would be nice if that was created to be a permanent facility. Committee wanted to be sure to thank architect Von Dugan. She helped us do the design of the facilities. I've given you some information showing you that, and she volunteered her time to work on the Foss Field and dockside facilities. So anyway, that's my report, and if you have any questions, Mrs. Murray is here, Mr. Tucker is here, and I'm here. I'm glad to answer them.
I'd like to thank you and the committee for the work you guys put into that and stuff. I'd like to make, I did a little bit of math on the dockside one you have there with the 13 by 18 foot at $250 a square foot, and it comes up to $58,500 plus the site work. I kind of rounded it off to about $75,000. In my mind, that's kind of a small amount of money to sit there and wait for a whole another year for that one. So it'll be kind of my thought anyway would be we want to pursue this. I'd almost rather propose to do both of these at the same time. That's one thing this town's been waiting for, is some nice facilities in the downtown area for people to come in and use, and we do hear a lot of comments about that, so I just wanted to put that out for comment and thought anyway for the board to consider.
I think the issue, we were trying to time that dockside bathroom with the construction going down there with the sewer line, and then we could put the hook up, and then the parking lot is to be done, and that this would be timed with that, and that's why we put it off until 2018 was the timing of our work that we're going to do on dockside. And I do not believe there's any sewer over there right now to hook it into, or we'd need new lines.
I know Dave Ford wanted to repair that sewer line. It does run up towards the dockside building now, and I understand we'd have to tee off it probably to do this. Obviously, this work would have to be done before any of the parking lot would be done anyway. So even if we did a little bit a year earlier, it would still fit into any plans we had to redo the dockside area there also. But
Well, I think that's probably a very good question for us to ask Mr. Ford, and I'd be more than willing,
Right.
Kathy and I can go and ask him that, about whether that could be done earlier. Okay?
Okay.
You might ask David Ford as well. I remember years ago, there used to be the New Hampshire League of Arts and Craftsmen used to have a building right there.
Oh, yes, yes.
So there may even be a sewer line there now and a water line. So
Okay.
it may be on some plans that David might have somewhere, but I know there was a store there at one time.
Yes, there was, right.
So there may already be a water and sewer line in the ground there.
Okay,
It would tie into the dockside one.
good point.
okay.
Dave?
As a great proponent of the Laner Street cleanup, which was successfully done, I'd like to encourage the board and the town to go full speed ahead on the Foss Field program, because that's year-round. It can be used for athletics and changing and so forth. It would solve, as Kathy said, walking around Clark Plaza. It's very centrally located to a facility where there's none now. And I think that's just waiting to happen. I don't think there's any controversy about it. So in my opinion, if that could be started as soon as the budget committee allowed, or earlier or whatever, I would be very in favor of having that done. This is a very good report and I appreciate it. I second what Linda said, that, you know, David Ford, as you know, has had a lot of comments here on tearing up the area behind the Avery building and the plumbing and it's been put off for a year or two, so I guess you have to sort of sort all that out, which is beyond my knowledge, but I do think that Foss Field is pretty clear and you could just run with it, you know.
Right, okay,
We have to deal with that dreaded budget committee, though.
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Right, okay, thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Kathy. Okay, next up is the issuance of a building permit for the erection of a building on a Class 6 highway.
Mr. Chairman, I am going to step down from this number F on our for new business for this building permit, and I'm going to stay seated because I'm also going to step down from the use of a Class 5 road by off-highway recreational vehicles.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. For the record, I'm Jim Rhines from White Mountain Survey and Engineering, and I'm here representing Mike Simmons in his request to make improvements to approximately 830 feet of a Class 6 section of Stoneham Road in accordance with the Wolfeboro Board of Selectmen Class 6 road policy. I submitted a package to the Board of Selectmen on April 12th in accordance with the stated policy, and in that packet I provided you with a letter from the fire chief in support of the request and a letter from the owner that he would sprinkler his home. I also, the plans were given to the planning board and to the Conservation Commission, and the Conservation Commission on May 16th noted that they had no opposition to the issuance of a permit, and the planning board on May 24th noted that they had no opposition and had recommended that it go to the Conservation Commission. So with that, I can go through the criteria. I've brought a plan since this is the first time I've been through this process. I wasn't quite sure what the board needed or wanted, but I can orient the board and the audience in that this is the end of the Class 5 portion of Stoneham Road, and then this is where the Class 6 portion commences and comes down here to this red part is where the start of Mike Simmons' lot is. The slope of the land you can see here, it's quite gentle. We've had the area looked at by a certified wetland scientist to make sure there were no jurisdictional wetlands. The slope in the steepest part is less than 5% in here. Most of it is less than 3%. We're maintaining the existing width of around 12 feet, except for brushing it back. With the exception of the last bit here, the fire department requested that we widen that out to 18 feet so that 2 vehicles could pass in the event of some sort of an emergency. Other than that, I believe that we meet all of the criteria outlined in the Class 6 road policy, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board or the public may have.
Board members have any questions, comments? Dave?
Well, I guess I could just comment that staff has reviewed this, and staff is in accordance with Mr. Ryan's characterizations of the project here, and would support the issuance of the building permit. I gave you some language which incorporates the plans and a condition relative to the applicant producing evidence of notice of limits on the town's responsibility and liability being recorded at the Registry of Deeds before the building permit actually issues.
Anything else?
Do I make a motion?
Sure.
I move that the Board of Selectmen approve the issuance of a building permit for residential dwelling structure on the Class 6 portion of Stoneham Road to be in conformance with the driveway plan and profile dated February 15, 2016, prepared for Michael and Deborah Simmons, tax map 104, Lot 11, by White Mountain Survey and Engineering, and subject to the condition that prior to the actual issuance of the building permit for this project, the applicant shall produce evidence that the notice of the limits of the town's responsibility and liability has been recorded in the Registry of Deeds.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you very much.
All set, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is discussion regarding the proposed ordinance governing the use of Class 5 roads by off-highway recreation vehicles.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Roger Murray. I'm here this evening representing the Port Wet Island Association. There are residents of Port Wet Island, members of the association here with me. The problem that Port Wet Island is facing, it's one of those subdivisions where you have backlots over a shorefront parcel for lake access. In the case of Port Wet Island, some of those lots are as much as half a mile away from the beach. It's very steep going down to the beach, which poses problems for the elderly residents as well as people with limited mobility to get down there on foot. We believe the solution is for the Selectmen to adopt an ordinance that allows the use of OHRVs, off-highway recreational vehicles, and most particularly golf carts registered as such, to be used to go from the individual lots down to the beach. RSA 215A, which governs OHRVs, does have a definition that would include golf carts. It allows the Selectmen to regulate OHRVs and also authorizes them to allow the use of OHRVs on Class 5 roads. Tom Tobine and Nord Rautenberg and I, their residents down there, met with Dave Owen, Dave Ford, and Captain Rondo back in June to discuss this. The upshot was that I prepare an ordinance that has been reviewed by Captain Rondo, by Mark Puffer. I've spoken with both of them. I've incorporated their suggested changes in the ordinance, and that's what you have before you this evening. Basically, it allows OHRVs, including golf carts, to use Port Wet Island, Winter Haven, Lloyd Roads, and Bernard Drive in the subdivision. It would be limited to travel between the individual lots and the beach area. You'd have to be a licensed driver to operate the vehicle. There's certain safety requirements. You'd have to keep to the extreme right. You'd have to yield to other motor vehicles. There'd be equipment requirements, including headlight and taillight requirements if the OHRVs were to be used after dark. Paragraph 6 of the ordinance I inserted at the request of Mark Puffer, and that provides that any claims would be waived against the town of Wolfeboro for its decision to allow the use of OHRVs on those roads. Also, at his request, I included paragraph 7, which incorporates the requirements of RSA 215A, which is the OHRV statute. There's also a violation section which includes provisions recommended by Captain Rondo. Fine for the first offense would be $600. It would go up $100 for each subsequent offense to a maximum of $1,000. and I'd be happy to answer any questions. I guess I can add that Port Whale is unique in that you really couldn't have a subdivision like that anymore with that concentration of lots accessing through a beachfront property. The roads in the subdivision are not through roads, and we are hoping that you will schedule a public hearing on the ordinance so we can go forward.
Dave?
I read your proposal, and it looks very nice. It seems to me to be sort of a no-brainer, but I do have an off-the-map question for you. I have never been able to find out where the term Port Wedeln comes from. Of course, people pronounce it Wadelin, like they have Kankamagos Highway. Do you know what the origin is? Somebody said it was from Switzerland.
It's a skiing term. Well named.
Appropriate.
No idea, right?
No, she just said it over here.
What did you say? Wadelin?
Very steep hill.
Well, nobody knew that years ago, so it means it's a steep hill in Switzerland. Okay. Thank you. Should I make?
Do we need a motion?
I think,
for
yeah,
public
we'd like to
hearing?
have a motion so we can schedule a public hearing on this.
I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for September 7th to adopt this ordinance.
We have a motion, a second on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye?
Opposed? We'll proceed with that, scheduling a public hearing for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is a discussion for duck and goose nuisance management.
Good evening. Thank you for letting us come to you and...
Can you speak
Oh, I'm
into
sorry.
the mic?
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Okay. We couldn't hear a damn thing over there. Anyways, I'm Michael Spence. My residence is Forest Road, and I live down on Moose Point Road on Lake Wentworth. And this is Dave Denby, a neighbor. And
Okay.
we have a duck problem. And just a little story. We've talked to Captain Rondo a couple times. Once he came and visited us on the beach, we seemed to cause a little bit of a problem. My wife did, not I or Dave. But my wife did. And so we learned that we should not use firecrackers, which is a good deterrent for the duck. We do have pictures if you want to see what we're dealing with. And geese.
Oh, boy.
So as you can see, it's kind of, we have young grandchildren.
Thanks, Dave.
You're probably aware that they do cause disease. And unfortunately, even with the Park and Rec's best efforts, people feed them. And they're very tame. But when we met up with Captain Rondo, he suggested we see Mr. Owen, which we did last year. And we asked him, what can we do? And because fireworks crackers weren't an option. And so he said, talk to the selectmen. And Dave talked to Linda, Mrs. Murray. And she pointed us to go talk to Captain Rondo.
Called pass the buck.
So we made the rounds. And we did talk, and we had a very good discussion. And I don't know if you want to say some stuff in a moment. But we put together a note or a letter that, I don't know if you've seen the copy of it.
Yeah.
And basically what we're looking for is permission to use firecrackers. They're effective. We've tried other things. And, I've got a $70 bird be gone sitting in my garage.
That's how effective it was. So we're hoping that you allow us to use firecrackers to scare them, because nothing else seems to work other than going, like, before I came out tonight, I had to stop while I was eating to go shoo them off the beach in the dock. And that's kind of grows old a little bit.
Dave?
So,
Nostalgia time, some of you will remember, let's just say about 1981 or 1982, when people would feed ducks at the town docks, and there would be 100, 200 ducks swarming all over behind the Avery building out on the main street.
Yeah.
And also in Cary Beach, huge numbers of ducks, and we just banned duck feeding. I would ask, is anybody feeding the ducks where you are?
we've seen them. They're out there. People come down early in the morning and late at night after the lifeguards have left. So it's.
Well, people used to buy like 100-pound bags
Well,
of
we
corn.
haven't seen anybody, bringing a sack, but I've seen people and we've yelled at them.
And also, I think somewhere in the Wolfeboro annals, of course, I haven't read them for a number of years, there's something where you can use firecrackers for, quote, agricultural purposes, end of quote, on our law already, like scaring away rats, but I'm not sure.
Well, these are rodents with feathers, as far as I'm concerned. So anyways, what I learned from the captain was that Mr. Owen does have the right, I assume with your consent, to give us permission to use firecrackers as a deterrent. And that's basically what we're asking. I don't know if you want to. We had a good discussion with the captain.
Good evening, Honorable Board. I'm Captain Rondo, the Executive Officer for the Wolfeboro Police Department. One of the things that I do want to talk about with the duck problem, of course, you're all familiar with duck itch, and Albee Beach seems to be one of the areas in town that's plagued by it, and of course it's spread through duck droppings. This is an interesting solution because I know we have a town ordinance that prohibits Class C fireworks, but I think this is one that might work relative to what these gentlemen want to do, but it also may help abate some of the duckage problem down on Albee Beach. When I went down there the first time, after the shots fired call, and the entire police department is rushing to that location, there was obviously a duck problem down there, and some of the suggestions, cutouts and plastic owls and so forth, some of the normal predators that would prey on the ducks figured it out. So the owl is covered in duck droppings, and the cutout coyotes, so to speak, just don't seem to have the impact you would expect them to have. It is an interesting dilemma. I think it's one that the firecrackers may work, and certainly they are a good deterrent. Certainly up to the board, but we don't see any issue with it. The police department doesn't see any issue with it, and it may help keep the ducks away from Albee Beach, or at least cut down. Maybe they'll flock somewhere else on Lake Wentworth. So, thank you.
I'll just add one thing, is that firecrackers are fairly easy to use, they're inexpensive, and they're effective. So I just hope that you could, give us permission to do it this way. The other things that we've tried haven't been anywhere near as effective. And they do seem to have some memory of the noise, and it doesn't last forever, but it is a helpful way to do it.
I guess one question I would have, are you planning on using these on your properties, or are you planning on bringing them
No,
over to
on
the
our
beach area?
properties.
Or, okay.
Well, we have beach property.
Yeah,
so
so
we
it'd be
use it,
front of your-
but not on the town beach.
Yep,
no.
okay.
Can anybody else do it on their property if they have a duck problem, or is this for this specific property? We need to address that.
I was wondering whether we did something like do a pilot program to see how it works, to grant them permission for this summer, and we may want to do it so anybody else who might want it would come to get our permission. But I think we should see how it works, see what the response is from the community from having firecrackers going off on a regular basis. It would let the police know that that was going on, so we don't have the whole police force. And we've been very successful with pilot programs to kind of gather information. So that would be my suggestion, and then we could take a look at it. And
We'd expect that it'd be a year-to-year thing, just for the obvious reasons. So, we'd look forward to come back if there was no objections next year to say, can we do it again?
Right.
Versus carte blanche.
Yeah, personally, I think it's worth trying, and it'd be a good idea to see if it works where you guys are and stuff, and work, obviously, keep in touch with the PD to see, if they have any issues with other people, complaining or something about it, the neighbors or whatever, and just get a feel for how the whole thing would go. So I'd be in favor of doing this.
We'll work out the coordination piece and the liaison piece. We'll also keep Parks and Rec director in her, so she can inform her staff as to what's going on. And then, of course, we'll be able to report back whenever the honorable board wants us to come back and report, and we'll be able to talk about complaints and noise issues and so forth and so on. I really don't suspect that there will be much. And I should have said that their property does abut Albee Beach. It's right next to it, right on the right-hand side. So that was my fault. So yes, it does abut the beach, and that's why I think allowing it will probably help push the ducks in another location. Hopefully not onto Albee Beach, but perhaps maybe further down the lake.
not too far down.
Yeah. At the other end of the lake there, yeah.
I'm going to give this to you guys. This is another option you may want to consider. I have a few customers that use it. It's a motion-activated sound sprinkler that shoots a 45-second spray. And it's specifically designed for critters like ducks and geese. It's $49. You can get it online or at Lowe's. And, obviously you're not going to be there all the time to use the firecracker technique, but it does work. So it puts out a pretty shrill sound, too. One of them is just a spray of water, and the other one has they love it, yeah. So,
What does this do? Is this,
so it'll hook to your hose, and it's motion activated. So when the animal approaches it, it's going to blast up to 45 feet in whatever angle you set it at. So if you set it out at that dock there, if they come up on it, it'll blast.
So if we have, because people will walk from the town beach down through the water, so they're going to get hit. And now we got another problem because
It's only a sprinkler. They're at the beach.
yeah,
at least we get rid of the ducks, right?
Get rid of the ducks.
yeah. Then we'll be charged with assault or something, or taking our grandchildren out, one or the other.
Tom?
Yeah. Yeah. We sent them to the goose farm.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
correct.
They netted up.
No? Oh, they are. There absolutely is. And we could look at next year having more geese removed from the town. But that's what the town did. But this is ducks.
Well,
They're
that
geese
small
and
picture-
ducks.
That small picture, there's like 22 geese that go across our beach.
Yeah. Well, they were down our way earlier this year, so I'm glad they're down
So
by
you
you now.
shushed them this way?
They're all over the place. They go up to Epiphany Farm, and they love the green grass up there, and then they come down right over. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments?
No, I'll make a motion that we allow Michael Spence and Dave Denby to use fireworks to try to control the geese and ducks on their properties on Lake Wentworth adjacent to Albee Beach, to be coordinated with the Wolfeboro Police Department as much as possible.
Could I ask a question? Could I ask a question
Sure.
on that motion? Could that include our wives too? Or is
Yeah.
that?
Yes.
Yeah.
those
See,
property owners.
Those two properties, at least
Okay.
at this point.
And they were granting this for 1 year and then review it?
Yep.
Add that, if you add that, I will second it.
Okay.
We're not trying to scare the wives away.
Understand.
Okay, we have a motion, a second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Good luck with that.
All right, thank you very much. And we'll coordinate if we want to start. All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, brings us up to old business. Do we have any old business to discuss
I
tonight?
have one. I would like to propose that the board appoint an ad hoc committee to investigate the extension of town docks, to look at the need for some drop-off space, and to evaluate the impact of summer events that close a large portion of the town docks. As you heard tonight, how successful the restroom committee has been. I think this is another way for us to try to deal with our dock problem. And Mr. Bowers had brought to our attention the need for drop-off space, and this committee could really put another report together and give the town some direction.
I think that'd be a good idea to take a look at that also for the downtown area there. Yep.
And I was thinking maybe somebody from, a couple people from, maybe from the chamber, a couple board of selectmen, somebody from the planning department, probably somebody from public works, a similar kind of makeup that we did for the restroom. So I'll make that a motion. I make the motion that the board approve a ad hoc committee to look into the extension of town docks and other docks issue on Wolfeboro Bay.
Second.
Motion, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
I
That sounds good. Any other old business tonight?
I have one. I just wanted to ask, we got in our weekly notes that the Beer Fest had not applied for a permit for the vet. Has that happened yet?
Yes, thanks to Luke's intervention and assistance, the application came in today.
Okay.
Okay, so that's early enough for him to
Yeah.
process.
Yes.
Any other old business? Any other business?
I have one other business. I would like to propose that the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board sponsor a reception for Rob Hausman on September 6th from 4 to 6 p.m., and that the funds for this come out of the board's miscellaneous account. Mr. Hausman has been with the town for 20 years. He has been our planner. He has been the department head of planning and development, and he has acted as acting town manager many times for the town and had to deal with many events. And so I'm hoping that I will get support to go forward with that. I am sure Kathy Barnard from the planning department would help me get that pulled together.
In the interest of full disclosure, I think you should tell what Mr. Hausman told the town manager and the Board of Selectmen, because it will affect my vote.
I think it's necessary.
Yeah, I don't know if this would be the right forum to do that in, Dave, myself. You know, it's, I think that, you know, Rob has been working here for 20 years and you know, deserves some respect, and, you know, this type of thing would be appropriate, I would think, so. I think I'd just leave it at that myself. Any other comments?
So what you're saying is you and Kathy will put something together?
Yeah, If you'll give us the money out of our miscellaneous account. Right, Kathy, you'll help me? Yeah.
So there's a motion.
Depends on how much we got left in there.
Oh, we have plenty for that. I'll make that as a motion, that the board hold a reception, a goodbye party for Rob Hausman on September 6th from 4 to 6 p.m., and the funds for that event will come out of the board's miscellaneous account.
Second.
Motion is second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
One abstention. Okay. Any other business?
My abstention is because of the town manager and the action that I thought was reprehensible taken by Mr. Hausman, okay?
All right, town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few things I wanted to report out this evening. First, relative to Mr. Hausman's replacement, at least on an interim basis. Myself and Kathy Barnard, representing the planning board, and our board chairman, Brad Harriman, met with John Krebs, who's a professional planner by trade, has worked for a number of New Hampshire municipalities, and is willing to undertake the town planner position on an interim basis, 14 hours a week, for us until such time as we're able to recruit and hire a full-time town planner. And so I asked Mr. Krebs to provide us a form of contract, which he did. I had town council review that contract. Town council made a few suggestions, which Mr. Krebs agreed to incorporate, and that contract is ready to sign. I also spent a little time looking at the planning department budget and discovered that we actually have enough money in that budget to pay for this contract through to the end of the year, because even after we pay Mr. Hausman his 10 weeks accumulated leave time, there's still about 5 weeks salary time left, plus there'll be 3 months of unused health insurance, dental insurance, and long-term and short-term insurance, and all of that adds up to like $14,500, which is just about the same amount that the contract's going to cost for the balance of the year. So if it's agreeable with the board, I propose to go ahead and sign that contract tomorrow, get it off to Mr. Krebs so he can start work before Mr. Hausman leaves. We'll try to arrange a little overlap.
I think that would be appropriate. You need a motion on that, Dave, or consensus would do it, or?
I just wanted to get the board's general consent before taking that step.
Yeah, I'm in favor. Like I said, I sat in on that meeting with you and Kathy there, and was fairly impressed with Mr. Krebs, and I think he'd do a good job in the interim. It sounds like he'll give us the hours as we need them to meet with the clients, and we can move forward through the rest of this year that way. So,
Is that a motion?
I don't have any issue with that.
I don't really need a motion. I just wanted to report it
I
out.
think that's a great solution.
Yep.
You got that, go ahead, David.
Next, Friday was the deadline for the Josiah W. Brown Scholarship applications for the fall semester, and we received 7 applications. I think I sent you out electronic copies of this, but you can hand it down if you wish, if you want the names. 6 of the applicants are return applicants looking for continuing assistance, and I looked at all their grades. They're meeting the C average requirement, and their financial circumstances haven't really changed materially. And then we have one new applicant that also meets the guidelines that were established by the Board of Selectmen. So I'm recommending that the board approve scholarship awards for these 7 individuals for the fall semester. These would be at the amount of $1,500 each to be paid directly to the college or university that they attend.
Yep, I think that looks all good to me. Rest of the board all good with that?
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Shouldn't we read the names so people know?
Yeah, I think that'd be appropriate.
Sure, I can do that. Sarah P. Crowley, David Moore, Callista T. Jacobs, Lily Green, Maria Henderson, Nicholas Carter, and Seth Richardson. We can give you a copy here.
Do you want a motion for this?
Yeah, I think a
I
motion.
move that we award the Josiah Brown Scholarship of $1,500 to the 5 people Mr. Owen just read their names. 7 people. And Dave Owen just read their names.
Second.
Motion and second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, next, I learned today, I was informed today that Senator Jean Shaheen will be in town tomorrow to walk the Cotton Valley Trail. She will be here to promote outdoor recreation and its impact on the economy. And she has selected the Cotton Mountain Trail to make that point. She's going to be walking with a group from Mast Landing to Albee Beach. And I was asked to see if any town officials would be available to join her. It's at 1:30 p.m.
I told Mr. Owen I was willing to walk.
Yeah, I'll be busy that rest of that day, but all day, but that'd be great.
Okay,
I think
very
we
good.
got one anyway.
Good. Our insurance company, Primex, and their insurance adjuster has notified us that they've arranged to have one of the clock faces on the town clock tower here. They're going to take off, they're going to remove a clock face to remove one hand and one numeral so that they can be shipped to the lab for meteorological, is that the right word? Testing. They're trying to, there was a squabble about who was responsible for the damage to the gold letter, the gilding. And so they're going to try to make a determination, if it was the original paint was not the right specification or whether there was some acidic damage, which we thought that was the cause. So that work is going to happen in 3 to 4 weeks. It's going to be the clock face off the north side, off the parking lot here, so it won't be obvious riding down Main Street or anything, but one of the clock faces will have one of the hands removed and a numeral removed.
Do they have any indication how long they would need it?
Well, just that it would take 3 or 4 weeks for it to get that lined up, and that they'll provide us a more detailed timeline regarding the completion of our investigation. And nothing specific how long it's going to take. Relative to the ongoing pain classification study, I wanted to let the board know that once we got into the study, Well, let me back up. When we first put the study out for RFP, we used the number 35 job descriptions. That was the basis of the proposals that we got. That was the number that I got from Human Resources. But as we got into it, we found that we have a lot more job titles of full-time employees than 35. The number kept going up, and it's topped off at, we have 54 full-time different job titles for full-time employees. So I went ahead and authorized a change order to the contract because there was no sense in getting a partial pay and classification study done of some employees and not other employees. And so there has been a further financial commitment made towards that study, just so you're aware.
And that'll still fit within the budget where we think it'll come out of for the public works there.
Right, right. Like Pete said earlier, the public works budget is way under in terms of fuel costs and such, so that's where we'll look for.
But it was a significant amount. It was $6,650, so
It's a
it's a significant amount because the whole thing was supposed to be 12, so thank you for letting us know.
Okay. The Newtown website is being worked on. They're presently migrating information, data from the current town website to the new town website. They've been sending us all sorts of comments and questions, and so we've been busy responding to all of those things. We are planning a training for the town employees that work with the town website in terms of updating information and, putting information on the website and how you do that. That's going to be on August 3rd, and then the Newtown website is scheduled to go live on August 5th. So just so you're aware that is going on.
Mr. Owen, is there going to be somebody who is going to be kind of the head like Mr. Houseman used to be? Or is there one main troubleshooter, I think is what he's been?
It'll be, well, Mr. Houseman will still be here at that point, and Pete and I've been handling the majority of the informational inquiries coming through on it. I think the board's aware I'm going to be away next week and the following week. Mr. Houseman will be serving as the acting town manager during that period, and that will include attending your next meeting on August 3rd and helping Ann with the agenda preparation for that meeting. Oh, and the town clerk wanted me to let you know that there will be an election workshop on Thursday, July 28th, that's next week, in the Great Hall from 9 until 11:30 a.m. With the Secretary of State's office. And she says here that the Board of Selectmen should attend. So
I'll be there.
I'm going to attend it.
Okay.
I'll be there too, Dave.
Linda, Dave, who else can I tell her?
I'll be here.
Luke?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be out of town.
Okay.
I'll have to look at my work schedule, but I'll try to, I'll let you know.
Okay, very good. And let's see. Do I have anything else in here? Oh, I did learn last week that former town manager Chet Spinney died. He was the town's second town manager after Guy Krapp. just thought I would make that statement for those of you that may have known him.
Does he have a widow?
That I don't know.
Maybe we should just send a letter of consolation or something.
Oh, okay, good.
Why don't you send a letter from the Board of Selectmen to his heirs of condolence?
Okay?
Yeah, I think that'd be appropriate. That's a good idea, Dave.
Okay, very good, will do. I think that covers everything on my list.
Okay.
Thank you.
Committee reports. We'll start down here with Dave.
None for me.
Zoning Board of Adjustment last night. And I'm also been to 2 meetings recently with Carroll County Coalition of Public Health. And there's another one on Thursday, tomorrow.
Let's see, I had, it was a week and a half ago, we had a community TV meeting. And unfortunately, I was committed to another meeting last night, so I missed the planning board meeting. But if there's anything Kathy wanted to share with us, it was startling at the meeting. I'm sure she'd be happy to let us know, but no action taken, okay? Yeah, oh, you missed me, thank you. Other than that, that's all I had.
I went to the Chamber Social last Wednesday, and the Library Foundation was the business or entity that held the social, and they gave a excellent report on their foundation's fundraising, which is in its non-public phase, and that gave us a kind of a design of what might possibly be the new library. I went to the Chamber Executive Board meeting, and I'd also like to inform the board that DASH work will be starting in town on July 5th. That's next Monday. So people in the community will see us there, and we are not contaminating the water, which at one point somebody called the police thinking we were spewing chemicals into the lake where it was just the dirty bottom of Back Bay. So they should be there next week.
Thank you. Luke?
I had budget on the 12th, and it's the only meeting I've been to. So, budget season starting.
Okay, questions from the press? No? Okay, we will open up to public input. Anybody here from the public that would be sitting here very patiently all evening? And
Oh,
okay.
For the golf carts.
Okay, you understand there'll be like, scheduled, there'll be a public hearing that everybody will be able to really feed in, but. Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess I'd entertain a motion to go into non-public.
I'll make a motion